The United States Army has trained soldiers to make drinking water from trees since 1957. 1 clear trash bag, 1 living branch, up to 1 pint of clean water per day. It is printed in Field Manual 21-76. Page after page of survival water techniques. Techniques tested in deserts, tested in jungles, tested on every continent where American soldiers operate. FEMA's Civilian Emergency Guide mentions none of them, not one. Americans spent $47 billion on bottled water last year. The Army's method costs $1 in a plastic bag. And the bottled water industry? They actively promote FEMA's buy and store guidance on their own website. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to collect drinkable water from any leafy tree using a trash bag, cordage, and sunlight. The same method taught to every SERE student in the United States military. The same method your government never told you about. Welcome to the channel. If you are new here, this is what we do. We dig through military field manuals, government archives, and declassified training documents to pull out the practical knowledge that somehow never makes it into civilian guidance. We read the field manuals so you don't have to. And then we hand you what we find. No gatekeeping, no paywalls on survival. If that sounds like something worth supporting, subscribe now. You will understand why in about 3 minutes. Let us talk about how a trash bag became official military doctrine. In 1945, American prisoners of war came home from the Pacific with stories that changed military training forever. Men who survived captivity did not survive because of superior weapons. They survived because they knew how to find water, build shelter, and feed themselves with nothing. The Department of Defense listened. In the years that followed, they built the SERE program: survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. Training facilities went up at Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington State and the Naval Survival Training at Warner Springs in California. The mission was simple. Never again would an American service member die behind enemy lines because nobody taught them how to drink. In 1957, the Army published Field Manual 21-76. Chapter 6 is titled Water Procurement. Inside that chapter, the transpiration bag method appears as a standard field technique. Tie a clear plastic bag around a leafy branch. Seal it tight. Wait, collect water. That is not a suggestion, that is doctrine. The manual was revised in 1970. The technique stayed, revised again in 1992, still there. The current edition, Field Manual 3-05.70, carries it forward. 7 decades of continuous military endorsement. Approximately 6,500 students pass through SERE training every single year. Every one of them learns this. And it is not just an American idea. The SAS Survival Handbook, used by British Special Forces, documents the identical method. Independent military establishments on opposite sides of the Atlantic arrived at the same conclusion. Trees give water, you just need a bag to catch it. Now, this technique has deeper roots than the Cold War. In 1727, an English clergyman named Stephen Hales conducted the first recorded experiments on plant transpiration. He measured the water movement through plants and documented that living vegetation pulls enormous volumes of water from the ground and releases it as vapor through its leaves. That was 300 years ago. The science was already there. What the military added was the engineering. After World War II, polyethylene plastic entered mass production. Suddenly, you could buy a thin, clear, waterproof membrane for pennies. The biology was ancient. The material was modern. The combination became a survival technique that has never failed in 70 years of field deployment. Now, what I have shown you so far is the surface layer. Inside the vault, we go deeper. Full breakdowns of every water procurement method in FM 21-76, solar still construction, subsurface seepage traps, dew collection arrays, vegetation pressing. If it isn't a military manual and your civilian emergency plan ignores it, it is in the vault. No fluff, no filler, just the techniques your government already validated but never passed along. The link is in the description. But stay right here, because the free video you are watching right now gives you everything you need to execute this technique today. Now let me show you the science that makes a trash bag into a water collector. Every living leaf on every tree is covered in microscopic pores called stomata. Their primary job is gas exchange. The tree opens them to absorb carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. But here's the cost of that transaction. For every single molecule of carbon dioxide a leaf absorbs, it loses approximately 400 molecules of water, 400 to 1. That is not a design flaw. That is the engine that drives the entire system. When water evaporates from the leaf surface, it creates a pulling force inside the tree's vascular system. Think of it like an unbroken chain of water molecules stretching from the leaf all the way down through the trunk and into the roots. Biologists call this the cohesion tension model. Each molecule of water that leaves a leaf pulls the next one upward behind it. The tree is essentially a solar-powered water pump, running every hour that the sun is shining. The numbers are staggering. The United States Geological Survey reports that a single mature oak tree transpires approximately 40,000 gallons of water per year. Well, one tree. 40,000 gallons. Berkeley Lab in California measured individual trees releasing up to 100 gallons per day. They found that the cooling effect of a single large tree's transpiration is equivalent to 5 residential air conditioning units. The University of Arizona documented cottonwood and willow trees along desert rivers transpiring at a rate of 4.8 millimeters per day across the canopy area. An acre of corn transpires 3,000 to 4,000 gallons daily. And across the entire planet, the USGS estimates that plant transpiration accounts for roughly 10% of all moisture in the atmosphere. That is the force you're harnessing with a $1 trash bag. When you seal a clear plastic bag around a living branch, you create a closed microenvironment. The leaves continue transpiring. They cannot stop. As long as the sun provides energy, the stomata open and water vapor escapes. But now that vapor has nowhere to go, it is trapped inside the bag. The clear plastic creates a greenhouse effect. The interior warms. Moisture saturates the air inside. Then, as the bag's surface cools slightly relative to the interior, the vapor condenses into liquid droplets on the inner wall of the plastic. Gravity pulls those droplets to the lowest corner of the bag. You collect them. Recoil off-grid documented an additional benefit. The water that transpires through the leaf's cellular structure is filtered at the plant cell level. The tree's vascular system does not transport soil contaminants, heavy metals, or pathogens through its xylem in the same way that untreated surface water carries them. The transpired vapor is functionally distilled by the biological process itself. So the Army teaches it, the science confirms it at scale. Why does FEMA not mention it? Here is what I can document. Go to ready.gov right now, pull up their emergency water guidance. You will find instructions to buy commercially bottled water. Store 1 gallon per person per day. Purchase water purification tablets. That is the message. Buy, store, purchase. There's no mention of transpiration bags, no mention of solar stills, no mention of any field expedient water collection method, not one. The CDC's emergency water page follows the same template. Commercial solutions only. Now look at who benefits from that guidance. The United States retail bottled water market was valued at $47.42 billion in 2024, according to Grandview Research. The Beverage Marketing Corporation puts producer revenue at $28.2 billion. That market has more than doubled from $13.8 billion in 2014. Americans consumed 16.4 billion gallons last year. That is 47.3 gallons per person. Here is where it gets pointed. The International Bottled Water Association, the industry's own trade group, cross-promotes FEMA's guidance on its website. They direct consumers to ready.gov. They echo the buy and store message. Why would they not? Every emergency kit that contains a case of bottled water instead of a $1 trash bag is recurring revenue. 99% of tap water in the United States meets safety standards. Yet the market keeps growing. And when the system actually fails, the result is catastrophic. In February 2021, a winter storm knocked out water infrastructure across Texas. 14 million people lost access to running water. Store shelves were stripped of bottled water within hours. If even a fraction of those 14 million people knew what a SERE student knows, they could have collected water from any living tree in their yard. I want to be clear about what I am saying and what I am not saying. The documented facts are these. FEMA's guidance contains 0 field expedient water methods. The military has taught multiple such methods for 70 years. The bottled water industry promotes FEMA's guidance and benefits financially from it. Those are facts I can source. Whether the omission is deliberate suppression or simply bureaucratic inertia, I cannot prove either way. What I can tell you is the result is identical. Civilians do not learn what soldiers learn, and someone profits from that gap. Whether you call that suppression or just institutional failure, the solution is the same. Learn it yourself. If this is the kind of content that matters to you, hit subscribe. You are now one of the people who reads the manual. Share this video with someone who thinks water only comes from a store. The link to the vault is below, and stay right here, because I am about to walk you through the exact procedure. But first, I owe you the honest version. This is not magic. Let me be direct about the limits. A single transpiration bag produces between 1/2 cup and 1 pint of water per day. That is a real number from real field testing. Under ideal conditions, full sun, healthy deciduous tree, warm temperatures, high humidity, you will hit the upper range. In shade and cool weather with conifers, you may get almost nothing. A 60-liter bag maxes out at roughly 500 milliliters. That is not enough water for survival on its own. The Army's own manual says so. The yield is seasonal. In winter, when deciduous trees drop their leaves, this technique produces 0. In arid environments with sparse vegetation, your options shrink. Temperature matters. Cloud cover matters. Species matters enormously. And here is the critical safety warning. Some trees will kill you. Oleander contains cardiac glycosides. While every part of the plant is toxic. Yew contains taxine alkaloids, lethal in small doses. Poison sumac produces urushiol. The condensation from a poison sumac branch could cause severe internal reaction if consumed. You must be able to positively identify the tree species before you seal a bag to it. If you cannot identify it with certainty, do not use it. Bags puncture. Thorns, broken twigs, and rough bark can tear the plastic. Surface contamination from bird droppings, insect residue, or fungal growth on the leaf exterior could transfer into the water. If you have any means of secondary treatment, boiling or purification tablets, use them. This is a supplemental method. It is one tool among several. The Army teaches it alongside solar stills, seepage basins, and other methods because no single technique guarantees survival. I tell you the limits because if I hide them, you cannot trust the rest. Now trust the rest. Here is exactly how to do it. Step 1. Select your tree. The best producers are broad-leafed, deciduous species. Willow, oak, maple, cottonwood, and birch are your primary targets. The University of Arizona's research confirms cottonwood and willow as top performers, transpiring at 4.8 millimeters per day across the canopy. You want a tree in full health with abundant green leaves. Avoid anything you cannot positively identify. Avoid oleander, yew, poison sumac, and any species you do not recognize. Step 2. Choose your branch. Select a branch with heavy leaf coverage that receives direct sunlight. South-facing branches in the northern hemisphere get the most solar exposure. The more sun the leaves receive, the more actively the stomata open, and the more water vapor the branch releases. Practical survivor field testing confirmed that branches in full sun produced significantly more condensation than shaded branches on the same tree. Step 3. Get a clear plastic bag. It must be clear. Translucent or opaque bags block the sunlight that drives transpiration. A standard clear trash bag works. 30 to 60 liters is your working range. $1 at any hardware or grocery store. Step 4. Place a small clean rock or pebble in one bottom corner of the bag. This creates a weighted low point where condensation will collect by gravity. Step 5. Pull the bag over the branch, enclosing as many leaves as possible without crushing or tearing them. The more leaf surface area inside the bag, the more water you collect. Step 6. Seal the bag's opening tightly around the branch using cordage, paracord, zip ties, or even torn strips of cloth. The seal must be as airtight as possible. Any gap allows vapor to escape before it condenses. Step 7. If you have a small, flexible tube, insert it into the low corner of the bag before final sealing. Run it outside the bag and pinch it closed. This allows you to drain collected water without removing the bag, which would release all accumulated humidity and reset the process. Step 8. Set your bag at sunrise. The process requires a full day of solar exposure. Sunrise to sunset is your operating window. Do not expect meaningful collection in less than 6 to 8 hours. Step 9. Collect your water at the end of the day. If you used a drainage tube, open the pinch and drain into a clean container. If not, carefully untie the seal and pour from the weighted corner. You should see between 1/2 cup and 1 pint of clear water, depending on species, sun exposure, and temperature. Step 10. Rotate branches every 3 to 5 days. Prolonged bagging stresses the branch and reduces output. Move to a fresh branch on the same tree, or spread your bags across multiple trees. To approach 1 gallon per day, which is the minimum survival ration per person, you will need 4 to 8 bags running simultaneously on productive species in full sun. Total cost of materials. Under $5 for enough bags and cordage to sustain 1 person indefinitely. $1. 1 bag, 1 tree. 1 gallon a day. Let me put this together for you. In 1957, the United States Army printed a technique in a field manual. That technique uses a biological process first documented in 1727. The science behind it has been measured by the USGS, validated by Berkeley Lab, and confirmed by the University of Arizona. Approximately 6,500 military students learn it every year. It has survived 7 decades and 4 editions of the same manual without ever being removed. A single mature oak tree moves 40,000 gallons of water per year through its leaves. That water is there. It has always been there. You just need a clear bag to catch it. FEMA does not mention this. Ready.gov does not mention this. The CDC does not mention this. What they do mention is buying bottled water, an industry worth $47 billion a year. An industry whose trade group links directly to the government guidance that keeps you buying. You now know something most Americans do not. The knowledge is 70 years old. The technique is free. It works anywhere trees grow, and nobody with a profit motive will ever teach it to you. Send this to someone who thinks water only comes from a store. Send it to someone who lives where hurricanes hit, where ice storms kill the grid, where infrastructure is one bad week from failure. Next week inside the vault, we go deeper into FM 21-76, solar still construction, subsurface water location, methods the manual teaches that no civilian agency will touch. The trees are already giving the water away. They have been doing it for millions of years. Now you know how to collect it.